Thank you all for coming along, and sorry about the slight delay. There's a technical problem. What I'm going to show today is actually how you can build chatbots and how building chatbots is actually easier than setting up the projector. Okay. Quick introduction, I work in development at Oracle for chatbots and digital assistants. Now, what I want to show in this presentation is there's going to be lots of demos because I want to show you the experience of building a conversational interface. Now, the first question is, what is a digital interface or a digital assistant? Now, if anyone's been working or reading about chatbots, chatbots have been around for a number of years, and they serve quite simplistically and singularly, they deal with the problem of being able to conversate with or converse with a back-end IT system. And they've been quite simple, but some relative success. Now, one of the challenges with digital assistant is that with chatbots is they do only solve a single problem. And this is where we bring in the idea of a digital assistant. Rather than a chatbot which deals with a single problem, which is fine if you know where to go and talk to that chatbot, with a digital assistant, just like a real assistant that you might have at work, you can turn around and ask that assistant, okay, how do I order a new phone? How do I get the weekly reports for HR? And that assistant knows the right skill, or the right chatbot in this case, to go and talk to. Okay? So the idea of a digital assistant is this kind of umbrella or super chatbot that is configured with a number of different skills or sub-chatbots. So, digital assistant is a computer program. It uses artificial intelligence, which is great, and machine learning to understand language and give you a single conversational interface that could help you throughout the day. You know, the idea is that you're not conversing with the chatbot just to do one thing. It becomes your daily assistant. Now, here's the kind of big picture of where all this stuff sits in. You can have, as we actually are doing now in Oracle, our own SaaS applications are building their own skills. Okay? So you could configure and say, well, I want to use some of the HCM skills, I want to get some skills from CX and maybe some third-party skills, and have them under a single digital assistant. So that if I ask that digital assistant, it knows the right skill to go to. And whilst in the demos today I'm going to show the web interface, the channels you can be using could be, you know, Alexa, Google Home, it could be things like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, WeChat, etc. All different channels to have a conversation on. Now, has anyone been using any of Oracle's chatbot technology before? Okay, that's good, one or two of you. So, digital assistant is really a second generation, and I know this is sometimes a marketing term, but it is quite genuinely a significant change in what we've been talking about the last 2 or 3 years or so, and I'm going to show you this in the demo, particularly some of the real features of digital assistant that solve the real problems and the real difficult problems. So within Oracle Digital Assistant, there are kind of 4 main pillars. There's the individual skills themselves, okay, which I'll call skills, but we can also call chatbots. They're the same thing. We have the digital assistant, and again, ideally you would maybe have one digital assistant per company or organization, team, it could be dependent. But each digital assistant would contain a number of skills within that. You expose your digital assistant through a channel, so that could be, say, something like Facebook Messenger or a voice channel like Alexa or Google Home. And then we have this idea that given that you can create skills, wouldn't it be nice if we can have some sort of skill catalog that we can select different skills from to meet the need of our particular digital assistant? And here's the architecture diagram inside Oracle Digital Assistant, which is our service that provides all this functionality. Ultimately, we have a bunch of skills, and these skills connect to back-end systems, and we assemble skills inside a single digital assistant. So the idea is I talk to the digital assistant, and I can say, hey, Alexa, ask Oracle Digital Assistant to start the HR process for Frank in my team. Okay? And it will know the right skill to talk to start that process. And it comes back and says, yeah, Frank's appraisal's due next week. Do you want to start the appraisal process? Yes, please. And can you book me a room, please? Now, the HR skill doesn't know about booking rooms, but if you've configured a room booking skill, then it can say, okay, HR can't deal with this, but I know I have a skill, the room booking skill, that can book that. And what's important as well is that we can pass context. So the room booking skill knows that the meeting we're having for the HR meeting is on Tuesday, and it's Frank who's attending and Grant. Therefore, that's the people I need to put in the diary. Okay? So the digital assistant can handle multiple different skills. It can have context. And ideally, as well, it knows about you. So the fact that I say, start the appraisal process for Frank, it knows that, well, there's lots of people called Frank in Oracle, I'm sure. But because it's Grant who's asking the question, he probably means this Frank, because he works in his team. So understands context as well, which is very important in conversation. So how do you build these skills? So there's one or two people who have said they've been building skills in Oracle Digital Assistant already. Just to level set, there are, I guess, 4 main building blocks. Each skill is usually a kind of business domain. Okay, HR, ERP, CX, pizza ordering. Okay? Within your skill, you would typically have a number of what's called intents. And an intent is the use case or the action that skill supports. And it could be 1 intent, or 10 intents, or 50 intents. So for example, my pizza skill might have an intent for ordering pizza, cancel pizza, showing the menu, tracking an order. Okay? Now, how does a skill understand what a request to order a pizza is? Okay? You and I know what that means. How does the skill know? And the way it knows is because you train that intent with typical phrases. And we use artificial intelligence to create a language model, and that language model will then have an understanding of what it believes a kind of sentence for ordering pizza would look like. Okay? So you don't this isn't string matching. You don't have to compare exact phrases. If I ask for a pizza a different way from the way we've trained it, it should handle it. But it should have enough understanding of language that understands the differences between using order or get me a pizza, whatever it might be. Now the last thing is, very important, something called entities. When I order a pizza, it's going to be different from your pizza, and your pizza, and your pizza, because we all want different kinds of pizza. So the pizza intent has a number of entities associated with it: pizza size, pizza topping, delivery time, delivery address. And everybody will have a different order because you have these different variables. So an intent also has variable elements about it as well. So that's the basics of how you build a skill. Now, let's see if we can get into some demos and show this in action. So here's a very simple pizza skill I've started before, or built. I want to order pizza. What kind of pizza do you want? Medium, veggie. Okay? And we're getting a medium veggie. Equally, I could say, hey, I would like to have a veggie small pizza. So it's a different way of asking, and note that it doesn't have to ask me the different elements of it, the entities, because I've already said that, okay? So that's a very simple skill. Now, how do we build that? So I said we had these building blocks: order pizza, welcome, and order pizza is trained with 5 different phrases that give it knowledge about what ordering pizza is like. Now, here's the dialogue flow. And this is how we define the actual conversation, because ordering a pizza is a kind of back and forth. What topping do you want? I want this topping. What size do you want? I want this size. What's the delivery address? I want this. And this is what it looks like. So here we have a step in the conversation called system intent. And what system intent just does is says, ask me a question, and I will work out which of my trained intents I think you're talking about. And if I think you're talking about order pizza, then we'll jump to start order pizza. So let's look at this, start order pizza. System.output, what do you think that does? That outputs a message. Okay, let's get the order started. System.resolve entities, resolve says, look, I'm going to try and find the pizza size in that sentence, and if not, I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to find pizza topping, and if you haven't told me a pizza topping, I'll ask you, and then I'm going to show you, hey, I've delivered, or here's the pizza. Okay? So it's quite a simple kind of structured language. Now, let's add a new intent to this. So let's say that our business comes along and says, well, people are asking about the pizza menu. Okay, so let's add a new intent. So let's add an intent, and we'll call it show menu. Now we have to train it with some phrases. Okay, so show menu, show me the menu, what pizzas are on the menu, okay? And I hit the train button, and I'll train the model, and now this skill should be able to understand if I ask some sort of question around showing a menu. Now, let's update the dialogue flow to do that as well. So we're now going to have a new state called, or a new, what do we call it? We called it show menu. So that's the intent we've got to look for. So if I understand what you've said is being show menu, then we go to start show menu. And if I jump down here, let's just copy and paste this one. So we called it start, show, welcome. Well, obviously got a different message. Here are the pizzas we have today, and I hit validate. Oh. Start, show menu. And what do we call it? Start show, thank you. You guys realize that's deliberate so that I know that you're still awake after lunch? Or I'm awake after lunch. There we go. This shows it's real. Okay, so now if I go, what do you have on the menu today? Here are the pizzas we have today. Okay, so we've understood a different part of the conversation. Now, I mentioned that we have entities, and I've created a couple of entities already for this. So pizza size can be one of these settings. Pizza topping can be one of these settings. And those two entities are associated with the order pizza, okay? But let's say now the business is now supporting the fact that we can order pizzas ahead of time, okay? You know, for a different day. So I'm going to add a new entity called date, train a model. So now when I order a pizza, I can optionally provide a date. Now what's important here is the way that we speak dates in natural language can be, you know, different. So I say, I want a pizza on Thursday. And it understands April the 11th, which sounds about right, okay? But if I said I want a pizza next Thursday, we get April the 18th, okay? So it's not about having to input dates in precise formats. We can say it in different ways. I want a pizza, and I don't want crazy things you might do in Germany, but I want a pizza on Easter. Okay? And Easter, oh, the 21st of April. Okay? So it's about natural language. Okay? So the way we speak to the bot is in natural language, and we can use different ways of defining things like dates and times. Okay. So that's the basics. That's it. Okay, I didn't connect to a real back-end system, but man, I've only got 35 minutes, but that was pretty good. So that's the basics of building a skill. Now, I can do great demos of bots because I do exactly what I know the bot wants me to do, but the reality is what we call the happy path. In a conversation, people don't stay on the happy path. You think of how you talk to people. They'll talk about something and they'll remind them and they'll go, oh yeah, I meant to tell you about something else. And they say, oh yeah, I was talking to him the other day. And then suddenly we wind back to the conversation. Now, you think if you were a conversational designer, how do you design for the fact that anyone at any point in the sentence could go off and talk about something different? Especially this idea of a multi-skill digital assistant which can handle lots of things. So the problem is people don't stay in the happy path. And this is a perfect example. I want to order pizza. Sure, let's that get for you. And then you suddenly go, oh, actually, can you make it a medium veggie pizza? I want to change my mind. Oh, and can you deliver it later on? So the bot has asked a specific question, but the user's gone off and said something else. And that is the real problem, because anything else that we show you is just demos. Okay, the real way people work is in this way. So there are lots of different real-world challenges of building bots. So for example, some elements or entities can be multiple values. Okay, if I'm ordering a pizza, I could say I want a pizza with pepperoni, onion, anchovy, and chili peppers. So 4 things I say for topping. Yet size, I can only say 1. I can't say I want a large, small, medium pizza. Okay, that's kind of crazy. So we have situations where some entities are multiple, some are singular. We might put information out of order. Okay, so at the point you say, what's your delivery time? You go, oh, actually, I'm really hungry, I want a large pizza. The bot says, no, what's your delivery time? Well, I don't want you to deliver it unless you change it to a large pizza. No, what's your delivery time? Okay, you've got to be able to handle the fact that people want to change their mind. Validation, okay? I want to order my pizza, but it gets to like delivery 11 o'clock at night. I don't want to get to the end of the conversation and then find out, well, the pizza place closes at 10. When I say 11 o'clock, I want the bot to say, I'm sorry, we're not open then. So we want to do different things, different prompts. This is a technique called progressive disclosure, is that rather than telling the user too much information up front, because they might not need it, okay? What you can do is change the prompt every time the user gets asked the same question. And what size of pizza do you want? And the person gives the wrong answer, you can say, well, what kind of pizza do you want? It's small, medium, or large. We give them a little bit more information each time. So, how do we solve this problem? How can you design for a conversation that could be infinite in terms of the different routes it could take? We have an entity called a composite bag. And what a composite bag does is it allows you to define all the different entities that you want resolved, knowing that they can be said out of order, or they can have error things, or any of these kind of things. And this one step in the conversation is responsible for then getting all that information. You don't have to design the conversation. You just say, I want these 3 values, and I want valid values as per settings that I put here, and not until those are completed, or until you detect an error and want to handle that, do you have to further design the conversation. So here I can define things like, prompt for disambiguation. So that's if you say, I want a small, large pizza. Well, that's ambiguous. Do you mean small, large? It will automatically ask you with this defined prompt here. So this is what it looks like a little bit more. I create an entity of type pizza order. If the user says, I want a cheese pizza, then what the composite bag understands is, well, you've said cheese, so I've got one of the things, but you haven't told me size or crust. Therefore, that single step in the dialogue flow would be responsible for staying in that state until the user has answered those questions as per the rules that you set up. Now, as often these things we can show in the demo to show you it working. So let's go back to my here. And let's ask something like, I want a pizza. Okay, what size of pizza do you want? I want medium, meaty, delivered at 9 p.m. and delivered to my home. Okay? So those 4 steps, those 4 questions, that whole part of the conversation, I just want to be clear, is managed all within those 11 lines of the dialogue flow. Okay? So those 11 lines will just stay there until we've got all the right information, or until I can define an error condition. If you get something wrong 5 times, then we'll maybe hand you off to an agent or something. So let's try another couple of things here. Let's ask one of those ones where I say, I want a large, small pizza. So, first of all, it automatically detects, well, wait a minute, you've said large, small. What do you want? And it's showing me the 2 valid options. So I say, I want huge. It's giving me thinking time. Of course, this doesn't help me if it's network it's slow. There we go, right? So let's go huge. There you go. So we've got a different error message. Huge is not a valid size of pizza. Please choose small, medium, and large. And I go, no, I want massive. Okay, that's not a valid option. Okay, monster. And at this point, we say, you're too stupid to use a chatbot, we're going to hand you off to an agent, okay? But the point being, we validated all that information there. So, okay, what else can we do? Let's do, if I go, I want order a pizza. Okay, let's get a medium, because I'm just in myself tonight, and veggie. Okay. Oh, and suddenly the phone goes, okay? And I'll pick it up, and it's the family are going to come round in like 20 minutes. So I'll say, oh, right, okay, well, I've just ordered pizza. Can you make it a large, please? So even though the bot was waiting for a time, I've given it something which is most definitely not a time, but it's understood that, oh, I detect that you've maybe told me something which I understand as being a change. So great, we're updating the size of the pizza. When do you want that delivered? 9 p.m. What address? To my home. And there we're going to get a large veggie pizza. So we've changed it. Okay. And the next one I'll show is I want a large veggie pizza. When can we deliver that for you? 11 p.m. Sorry, we'll only deliver up to 9:30. So we've validated that. Okay. Okay, 9:30 it is. And home delivery. Okay. So let me show you how we've implemented that within the composite bag here. So if I go to the entities, and you'll see this an entity called a pizza bag, and that contains all the things that I want, the information I need to complete a pizza order. Okay. So, but here you'll see things like I just put a setting that prompt for disambiguation, so that means it can only have one value. That's why I couldn't have small, large pizza. Here I can define error messages, and I can also do out of order extraction. So that means I'm willing to be told a new size of pizza, even though I'm going to be asking for something else. And I'll very quickly show you the validation we had, which was on delivery time. And you'll see that delivery time has this little piece of code down here, which basically says pizza.value.delivery time is less than 10, then true. That means it's fine. Otherwise false, means it's failed the validation. Sorry, we only deliver up to 9:30. Okay? So that is probably one of the most important elements of building bots, is this idea of being able to keep people from falling off the happy path, because we have this validation or this entity extraction component that can do all this rich stuff. Now, very briefly, time is short, chatbots can do more than just conversations, and there's more features of intelligent bots, including things like supporting Q&A. So typically, if your company has an FAQ, you can load that into the bot. If you get to a point in a conversation where maybe rich data entry would be easier, well, we can inject one of these web style of components inside the conversation. And probably our biggest use case for digital assistant is fronting a call center. Okay? So the bot deals with calls first, and if the bot can't deal with the question, it then hands off to an agent. Okay? And that's let the agent deal with it. And we're working with a number of customers where they're getting about 30 to 40% reduction of calls going to a human agent because the bot is handling the first line. And it can be, because a lot of the interactions can be the quite low level, you know, where's my order, reset my password type thing. And of course, I'm very lucky that most of the world is willing to speak English, at least until we Brexit. But we can build multi-language bots, and that can be multi-language, or you can use translation service, so you could, in fact, build a single bot in one language, but for it to on-fly translate. so that if you speak to it in German, ich möchte ein Doppelzimmer, it would respond appropriate, whereas you say, I want to order a double room, I want to book a double room in English, it would respond in English. So it detects a language and responds in the language of the user. Okay, and back-end integration, as I said, I'm going to move on for the next demo as well. Last point before I move on to this demo is analytics. Knowing if your bot has been successful, well, we have an analytics dashboard such that you can understand what's the user asking, what intents, what questions, what are unresolved, what paths of conversation we're having. Okay, so the last bit is the idea of once you've created skills is bringing them together under a digital assistant. And I'll show you this in the demo. But the important thing as a digital assistant is everything you say goes through the digital assistant. So if I say, I want to order pizza, it comes into the digital assistant and it recognizes, well, look, that's pretty certain that's a request for pizza. I will let this skill deal with it. Now, what's important is that if in the middle of the pizza skill, you suddenly ask, rather than saying you want pepperoni pizza, you say, how much money do I have in my bank account? The digital assistant will take that question and say, wait a minute, I've got the pizza skill as the active skill at the moment, but this isn't something which is related to pizzas. I detect that the banking skill is much better placed to answer this question. So it routes the question. So it puts the pizza conversation on hold. It says, okay, you want to talk about banking? Yes, let's talk about banking. Fulfills that request and then goes back to the pizza conversation. And I'll show you this in the demo. And we can use things like automatic smart dialogues to say to the user explicitly, do you want to go to the banking skill now? Or it can do it seamlessly, up to you to decide. So, time is short. Let me show you this in the demo. If I go to my skill, from skills to digital assistant, so here I've created a digital assistant which has 3 skills in it, one for retail, one for pizza, one for finance. And if I wanted to add another skill, I just press add and I go to my skill store and pick those various ones. But let me start off and let me show you a feature, because one of the challenges we often have with a chatbot is people don't kind of know what it can do. It's like, saying, Alexa, what can you do? What things are good? So by default, if you just say something open to the digital assistant, like hi, what it will do is it will say, well, that's not one of my registered skills. What I'll do is I detect that as a kind of an opening question. I'll show you the kind of things that this digital assistant can do. Okay? So it can order pizza, so I can go, okay, order a pizza. And I go through the pizza ordering process again. Stuffed, small, pepperoni, and small pepperonis in the way. Okay? Now, let's try something different. I want to order a pizza. How old are you? 30. I get older as the demos go on, you'll notice. Thick. What size of pizza we want. Now this is the point, and it's a contrived example, but bear with me. In the middle of the pizza ordering process, I completely randomly say, how much money do I have in checking? So randomly, I've asked a completely different question. The digital assistant goes, this isn't pizza, but I know it's to do with banking. Do you want to go to the banking? Okay, yeah. The balance, okay, great, we've got plenty of money, so in that case, we can order a large pizza. And you'll see here, you've routed into a separate conversation. And it could be a separate conversation, a separate skill. You could also jump to a separate intent in the same skill, okay? So it could be that in the middle of ordering a pizza, I say something like, hey, can you get me a couple of cans of Diet Coke and a Fanta? Which is the drink ordering intent inside pizza, okay? It will do the same thing in that case. It will put the food ordering part on hold. Do you want to order some drinks? Yes, please. Right, we'll deal with that, and then we'll go back. And this can deal with multiple levels. So if I was to do, I want to order pizza. I'm 40 now. And let's say, how much money do I have in savings? Yeah. Now I say, what about my gift card balance? So now we're into the retail skill. So we're checking what's on my gift card that I've got there. And we've finished that part. Do you want to go back to ordering pizza? Yes. And again, you can see here how we've had multiple nested conversations. Now, just to let you know, this total amount of code to implement that is 0, okay? This is what I'm doing here. All I need to do is set various thresholds about, for example, if I move from one skill to the next skill, what's the confidence levels you might have, and do you want me to ask explicitly those questions as well? So the last thing I'm going to show is taking that same bot and exposing it through a web page. And this is one of our main use cases, because customers will still say, well, people come to our website, but we want them to chat to the company. And so here's an example, and this is just a simple web page. But within this web page, I've embedded a chat widget, which is the same thing connected to the same bot as I've just been showing you. And hi, there we go. I want to order pizza. And then we go through and because time's short, I'm now seriously 50 years old. And then we go through that. Okay. So, what have we shown? We've shown how to create a skill, intents, dialog flow, entities. We've done some complex entity extraction using this composite bag, and we've created a digital assistant where we've assembled some skills and done complex routing between those as well. Now, if you want to find out more, you can go to any of these websites, you can take a photograph, or what I'd love you to do is at 4:30 today, we're having a hands-on lab, and if you come along to the hands-on lab upstairs, you will actually build exactly what I've shown you today, okay? So thank you very much. I'm sorry we had a late start, and I had to rush through that, but I hope you've got the essence of what Oracle Digital Assistant is about. Thank you very much.